Hello, this is Key Point with Dr. Victor Markus, inspiring growth, inspiring excellence, inspiring purpose, one point at a time. While growing up, we avoided failing at all cost. Why? Because we were told that failure or failing is a bad thing. And so we played safe. And at all the time, we don't want to fail at all because we were told it's not a good thing to fail. I'm quite sure nobody wants to fail, but there's something important I want to talk today about the issue of failure and why the need to redefine failure. So we avoided anything. In fact, we never wanted to try any new thing because we're afraid of failure. And one of the greatest thing today that has hindered many young people and especially students today is that they are afraid of failing, and that already becomes a chain and a shackle that keep them imprisoned. Now when you write an exams and you fail, actually what that means is that you have failed the exams, but that's not to say that you're a failure. No, you're not a failure. You just failed the exams, simple and short. You just failed the exams. And what that means is that it gives you feedback to understand the effort you have put, also what are the problems, because it might not necessarily mean the effort you have put, but to be able to figure out what exactly is the problem, because exams are supposed to be a feedback or something that actually tells you that you put on an effort, and then this is what you have seen. And from what you have seen, what can you deduce from it? And the way we make exams today makes it so, will I say, students each time going to exams, they're always afraid, as if it's the end of the world. Once they fail, it becomes a huge problem. And I understand that we grew in that kind of a setting, and our minds has been conditioned to think in a different way. These days, even if I enter class, I always try to remind my student, especially because I teach medical students. So I had to every now and then to tell them that, listen, you are here in the medical school, we're teaching you, we're training you to become medical doctors. We are not training you to pass exams. That's not the goal why you are here. While it is good, yes, to pass exams, but you have to know and you have to put your eyes upon the actual goal. And the goal why you are here is to become a sound medical doctor that will become useful to the society. And I will keep drumming that into their mind each time I enter the class, because I discover that most of them shift their concern toward exams, just passing exams, just passing exams, just passing exams. And some of them will come, sir, what exactly is it going to come out in the exams? What are you going to to set as questions? What will the question look like? I say, why are you so disturbed about the questions? I guess the right question you need to ask me is that, sir, in the clinics, how can I apply this knowledge? How can I do this? How can I do that in the practice? Because that's the most important. That's why we're training you. But I understand, because I also faced that challenge at the beginning. And that was why we avoided failure by all. In fact, I don't even want to try, I never wanted to try anything new at the beginning. But then after time and then understanding came, I said, no, I mean, failure is not what I should avoid, it's what I should embrace. And that's what today, again, some of the key points, I'm going to bring out some point in which I wrote particularly. I'm going to bring out 3 points in this case that we need to understand about failure. And if you're a student, you need to understand that. Even if you are not a student yet, I think it's important. If you're a parent, you can teach that to your children. If you're not a parent or you're a teacher, that should also be an important part of your philosophy in training students, because we need to improve in the way we make students see uh, our education, particularly. And the first thing I want to point out here about understanding failure is that failure is not the end. Failure is not the final. It's not the final. As I said, when you write an exams and or anything in life, not just necessarily exams, maybe you put in an effort in doing something, and then you realize that you have failed, or the result you see is not what you intended in the beginning. All you need to do is just to understand that that's not the final. That's not the final. It just only reveal that your current preparation, your current level of understanding actually has not matched up with the required level of knowledge, level of understanding, and therefore you need to just improve. So it's a feedback. It's a feedback. And I want you just to understand that it's not just a death sentence. Okay, I have failed. Then what? So that's an important thing I think many students need to understand as you take examination or later in life, as you do any other thing in your life, just to know that it is not final. It's not the end. It's not the end. And the second thing I want you to know is that failure is a teacher. Failure is a teacher. And therefore, I don't want you to avoid it, because it will happen and happen and happen again. Now, every failure whispers, you need to improve. I think that's the most, it's a crucial thing that I want you to get here. That every failure teaches you something. Once you fail, it whispers to you, you need to improve. And so it shows where you are weak at so that you can become strong. It's not to shame you. Failure is not, well, we have made it a tool of shaming, but I don't think that is what it should be. It should not be a tool of shaming. It's a teacher. It's a teacher. It shows us where we need to improve. So those of us that fear failure often, that fear failure and we don't want to fail, it often leads us into something that is not good. And I see a common factor with especially those who wants to avoid failure at all cost. It either makes you procrastinate, or at all don't want to try new things, or pushes you to cut corners, examination malpractice, because you don't want to fail, so you have to go cheating. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So please don't fear failure. It's a teacher. It's a teacher. You will fail. Everybody has failed. There's no one that has not failed before. Everyone has failed in one way or the other. And that all this failure is not actually to shame, is actually to tell us that we need to make improvement. Now, the third thing I want you to get here is that failure is a path to success. Failure is a path to success. As I already mentioned, you cannot succeed, or I actually alluded to that. You cannot be able to succeed without failing. You can't succeed without failing. As long as you want to succeed, then you must be ready to fail. Because on your way to succeeding, on your way to trying new things, definitely you are going to miss things. You're going to miss that. I know that the level at which we will fail will reduce depending on their level of preparation. But no matter how you prepare, because you are doing something, if you are already an explorer, if you are someone who is looking for knowledge, for example, I'm a researcher. So when I get into the lab, I'm not just looking at everything I do, it will just work out. No, because in itself, as I entered, there are so many things that keep happening, and then it starts failing. Now, even if it does not fail, but at least there will be mistakes here and there. Even if I didn't fail entirely, but in there you will see there are some mistakes here, there are some mistakes there, and on and on and on. I don't want you to look at failure as an enemy. It is a pathway to success. It is a pathway to success. So when you protect people from failure, when you protect people from failure, actually what you are doing, you're also protecting them from succeeding. You're protecting them from trying new things. And that's not a life. When you stop a person from exploration, when you stop a person from seeking for knowledge, I mean, just look at the world in which we have today, so sophisticated. If people have been stopped from trying new things, we will not have come this far. So you must know that failure was part of the success. The technology we have today, all the things we are proud of today are actually product of failure. If I would say it that way. But because what I'm trying to say is that when you stop people from failing, what you are doing is that you are stopping them from succeeding. So failure is a path to success. That's one thing I want you to understand. And so give yourself freedom to fail. That's the point I'm trying to make. Give yourself the freedom to fail. Give your children the freedom to fail. Don't stop them from trying new things. Give them the freedom to fail because it enables them to be more creative, to know that okay, this way does not work, but then I can try another way, and this way, and this and this way. So remember, failure is not an enemy. When you fail, know that it's just telling you that you need to improve or you need to readjust some certain things, and that is important. So tell yourself today, I will not be afraid of failure. I will walk. I will try new things. I will try again and try again until I succeed. I will try again and try again until I succeed. This is my message today for you, that you need to redefine how you see failure. You need to redefine how you see failure. And that's very, very important for today.